This week on the Virtual Skeptics, Bob bullshit, like that's news. He is allergic to Wi-Fi allergy. Barb hates listicles and infographics. And Tim ran 13 miles just to get here. Thank you, Tim. Enjoy your commitment to this show. I'm your host, Brian Gregory, and my feelings are consistent with reality, as they always are. Hi, this is the Virtual Skeptics.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, how is everybody doing?
4 or 5 pounds heavier than last week.
Well, it's post-Thanksgiving, and it's.
You know what? I didn't even overeat.
Resolution.
Did not even overeat. Never felt really full. Still gained 5 pounds.
I actually had bronchitis for 2 weeks. So
congratulations.
The 5 pounds that I gained, I can blame on that. It's
mucus.
Why?
Okay, I think, yeah.
But that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I'm sorry.
But I did have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Did everybody have a good Thanksgiving? How about you guys out there in internet land?
I don't think they can answer us.
I'm listening.
Here.
Well, let's see. Let me do the intro, and then I'll let you know how you can make me hear you.
And
what?
As we go through, you say what you're thankful for.
Oh, that would be awkward and confusing for most of us.
All right.
Try it anyway. First up, we have this guy, Bob Blaskowitz. He is a conspiracy guy, web columnist, blogger for Skeptic Humanities, and Skeptic contributor. And this is what he's thankful for.
Antibiotics and air traffic controllers.
Okay.
Nice.
This is Eve Siebert, editor and blogger at Skeptic Humanities and contributor to Skepticality Insight at skeptic.com, and she's thankful for...
I don't know, software editing tools that we could get rid of Bob if we wanted to.
Wow.
Oh, sorry.
Wow, that's harsh.
Just for introducing this what I'm thankful for thing.
Yes, I blame him too. Barb Drescher.
And also it could sync up your voice.
Bob, you had your chance. Shut up now. Barb Drescher, former psychology instructor, blogger from ICBS everywhere, let me say it correctly, and contributor to numerous skeptical projects, including Insight at skeptic.com and Odds Must Be Crazy. The Odds Must Be Crazy. It's Barb Drescher, and she's thankful for...
That I'm not Bob.
Yeah,
Yes, aren't we all? I think that's kind of a common thing. Next, we have Tim Farley, blogger at SkepTools and Insight at skeptic.com, Skepticality contributor, creator of What's the Harm, and former JRF fellow. What's your thankful for there, Tim?
Electricity and music.
Okay. So
that's what popped into my head.
We know where the jokes come from on this show. There you go. That's our team. That's the guys. This is the
You have to do it too, Brian.
Yeah,
team.
you have to do it too.
What?
Yeah, who are you?
I'm some guy that reads stuff and has a strange fetish about technology.
It is thankful
I'm
for.
thankful for modern hygiene. And antibiotics. And antibiotics. I'm thankful for modern hygiene and antibiotics
and beard wax.
Because science. Yes, and beard wax, although not really using that. Okay. So if you're watching and you want to get involved somehow, let me turn on the Q&A app. Okay. You can tweet with hashtag Virtual Skeptics. You can comment on the YouTube feed. You can ask us a question. Let me repeat that. Ask us a question with the Q&A app on Google+. And we will try to answer those during the show.
The really big show?
Really big show. Okay, Tim. I'm announcing it to you because you're the thing. Every week, we do a couple of things to start off the show. Tim is the one who is responsible for the trivia question, and I don't see it listed here. Let me see. Refresh. Oh, wow. There's a trivia question. What's the trivia question this week, Tim?
The trivia question is another skeptic history-related question. Tomorrow is the 20th anniversary of what famous What's the Harm case involving Scientology? Probably one of the most famous victims of Scientology. Tomorrow is the 20th anniversary. Who was that person?
And I know this one, but I'm not going to say.
Me too.
Yeah. So all Twitter land, all YouTube land, answer the question, please, and we will give you a round of applause. We'll give you an official Virtual Skeptics round of applause. The second thing we do every week is I just throw a couple of videos up behind me. If you can figure out what those are, one should be easy, one should not be so easy, but is relevant to the show, at least my segment of it. So tweet that, comment that, and I will also give you just a round of applause. Just me for that one, because no one else in the show cares. But there you go. First up this week of our major content that you love, why you tune in for the show, which I'm not going to do that ever again. Barbara.
Oh, I'm first?
Yes, Barbara's first.
Okay.
She's got something to do with, what is this? Yes, we had this conversation. Listicles and infographics, which I like infographics, and I know you
God,
gave me
I
this
hate them.
stare.
I hate them.
But
Hate them.
I'm a computer software guy, so I like visualization of data.
I like visualization of data too. What I hate are infographics because they usually start with bad data. And then they express it oversimplifying it in a way that makes it wrong. Just pisses me off. They're like memes, you know? But yeah, I like visualization of data too, and unique ways of doing it in ways that, because being a scientist, you have to be able to write for science. You've got to be able to illustrate your point to convince people. I'm all for that. I am not for this.
Multiple colors and
but this is not the same thing. Okay, so once again, this is something that was in my Facebook feed, and I saw it, and the very first thing on the list was a listicle, and the very first thing on the list was stupid. So that kind of motivated me to look further.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, the first thing that you want to do whenever you evaluate something like this is look at the sources. Now, this was like 16,
What are we looking at?
This is 16 interesting factoids about sleep or something like that. Being a psychologist, I actually taught the stuff, so I know enough about sleep to evaluate a lot of the statements, but some I'm not so sure about. So I'll go through the statements in a minute. What I want to talk about first is the source stuff. Okay, so at the bottom of the listicle, there's a link. One link. When I click on that link, I get an infographic. I don't really care for listicles either. By the way, they kind of bug me, but they don't bug me quite as much as infographics. Just because they're clickbait. I think that's why I don't like listicles, because there's something about, even if the content's good, you're being sucked in, and you know you're being sucked in because they've promised you this bullet point shit, and that's what attracts you, is it's bullet points. And who doesn't like bullet points? Because then you don't have to read like 5 pages of text. But I click on the bottom, and I get this infographic, and actually I get a repost of the infographic, but it doesn't matter. At the bottom of the infographic is a list of 16 websites, URLs. So you would think that what they're saying is that URL number 1 supports, point number 1, etc.
Annotations.
You would think that would be it, but that's not what it is. So I go to look at the sources, the source material, and what I find is mostly dead links. The source material is all websites. It's not like links to primary sources, articles. There's a couple of articles in there, like one of them is a Slate piece about sleeping with your dog. And I mean sleeping with your dog on the bed.
Actual sleep.
Yeah. And there's nothing in the infographic or in the listicle about sleeping with your dog.
Interesting.
So I have no idea what piece of information they supposedly got from that article, but I skimmed the article, I didn't see anything in it that related to anything in the listicle. The first source was called MedPage Today. It's not a bad piece, but I couldn't find a single item in the infographic or the listicle that related to what was in the article. Bunch of dead stuff. There were 3 links to articles about parasomnia, but there's only one item in the list about parasomnia, and 2 of those links were dead anyway. The second, one of the defunct lists was, or one of the defunct links, I actually found a forum that reprinted it, and it was to another listicle. The forum reprint didn't have any sources in it either, so...
You had to actually physically print it on paper before you could figure out where to go? Is that what it is, or...?
No, it was that it was just another listicle. It was like, 6 interesting things about sleep or something like that, and there was no source to it.
I just want to point out to our listeners, our watchers, that for every time we say listicle on this show, I'm just saying.
An angel gets its
take a drink.
wings.
Yeah, an angel gets its wings. I like that. Or somebody gets to go to
small
sleep.
drinks, though, because we're going to
Somebody dreams about us. So I think the second to the last, I think it was, no, it was somewhere like 3/4 down the list. I think finally was a list that was probably the jackpot. It was probably where they got most of their stuff, because there's 99 items in it, and it's called Interesting Facts About Dreams.
Sorry,
I looked at the source.
I was thinking of something else, too. I got 99 facts, but never mind.
Okay.
It's 99 interesting facts about dreams.
Yes.
But the source material for that, there were 7 source materials, or 7 citations for that website. One of them was an article, and the rest were things like the Big Book of Dreams. Okay, so basically, in other words, this list is probably made up and nothing but crap, and the URLs that are listed on the bottom of the infographic are bullshit or outdated. You're not going to find anything. So, to the list. I thought I'd just go through this list. It's 16 items. Some of them are kind of interesting, and I tell you what is bullshit and what isn't, based on what I know and what I could find. Yes.
Okay, so what? Okay, you're going to tell us what the list is about, right?
Yeah.
Something to do with
it's about sleep. Sleep.
Okay.
So 16 interesting facts about sleep.
And you won't believe number 14.
You won't believe number 5. It's that number 5 is scary, and number 5 is scary, but it's the only interesting thing on it.
They really need to work on their headlines. It's not really clickbait enough.
It was, well, you have to click on it to get to number 5. And number 5 is supposedly
that's
scary.
What she said.
So, number 1. This is the one that got me to do the research to begin with. We can only dream about faces we have already seen, whether we actively remember them or not.
Wow, that's an incredibly broad statement.
Not sure how you would even verify that in a study.
It's stupid. It's a stupid thing to say.
What is this?
It's true that you cannot dream about faces you haven't seen if those faces are real people. So, like, we're not psychic, we can't psychically dream about faces we haven't seen.
Okay.
However, we can make up faces in our dreams, and we probably do it all the time. And the people that we make up in our dream are certainly people that we've never seen. So the statement's just plain stupid.
Okay.
Am I wrong?
I'm still confused.
What?
So they're So essentially, they're saying, I can't dream of something. No, I can't dream of something I haven't seen.
It says you can't dream of a face that you haven't seen.
But that. I mean, if you generalize it, I can't dream of something I haven't seen.
Sorry, you froze there for a second.
Yeah, I'm confused by this. So I can't dream of someone's face I've never seen unless it's not their face. It's just So it is deliberately.
We got 16 of these to work through, guys. Let's go.
I don't,
yeah,
again, I don't know how you would ever come up with
this
this.
is one of the most
in-
interesting,
in a
most
scientific
stupid ones.
way.
Yeah.
The grammar hurts my brain. Keep
I
going.
think what they were really trying to talk about was that you can dream about faces that you have seen, even if you don't actively remember them, which is true.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
And
Number 2, when dolphins sleep, only half their brain shuts down, the other half
don't have faces.
What?
No, keep going.
Okay. Well, they're just thoughts, really. So, when dolphins sleep, only half their brain shuts down, the other half stays awake to help with breathing cycles. This is true. Dolphins and whales do sleep one hemisphere at a time. It's a very fascinating little factoid that we teach in Intro Psych.
Really? Wow.
Most of these things are things that we teach in Intro Psych. They're things that are correct anyway.
I didn't know that. It's cool.
Yeah, it is cool, isn't it? It's so they don't drown, because,
Yeah, 'cause drowning's bad.
So it's not,
drowning is bad. Yeah.
but so that's not autonomic
It probably is autonomic.
because we breathe in our sleep too. But
Well, yeah, but we don't
not
have
in
to
water.
surface. We don't have to surface to do it.
Okay, it's still cool. I'll look at
Yeah.
it.
It's so they don't sink and drown. Okay, so men have dreams about other men 70% of the time. Women dream about women and men equally. I have never seen this in any of my textbooks, nor have I read any studies that confirm this. I'm very skeptical. But you know what? If it is one of those factoids, it's true. I'd kind of think, so what?
And it's frustrating that they did not annotate that one specifically to a study because that would have been a cool study to read.
Nope.
It would have been
Nothing.
Yeah.
And I'll bet you there may be one study that did that, but that said that, but probably other studies.
Yeah, they've heard it from their cousins.
No.
So.
Yeah, who cares? Okay, while you are sleeping, your body charges, your cells repair themselves, and your body releases important hormones. True. Well, I don't know if recharging means, but
I'm not.
But isn't this really an interesting fact about sleep? I mean, come on. Anyway. Parasomnia, number 5. This is the one that's supposedly so freaking scary. And it is freaking scary. Parasomnia is a type of sleep disorder that makes you do unnatural movements despite being asleep. Crimes committed on parasomnia include sleep driving, writing bad checks, murder, child molesting, and sexual assault. This is actually very true. And it's the most fascinating thing to talk about. In fact, whenever I covered sleep in my intro psych classes, we'd spend half of our lecture time talking about parasomnias in some form. Now, the murder and things like that is a very specific type of parasomnia. But, my students have the most hilarious sleepwalking stories. I have some of my own. It's fun to talk about. It's absolutely fascinating that somebody could actually get into a car, drive to their mother-in-law's house, kill her, get back in the car, drive home, and get back into bed. And it's all because they were asleep the entire time because they have this disorder.
Wow.
It's fascinating.
How do you diagnose something like that?
Sleep clinics can can do brain scans while you're sleeping and so forth. And
so that you can actually tell that someone's in a sleep state.
Yeah. You can at least tell that they have the
murdering
disorder.
the technician.
Because to me that sounds like something I would someone
I
would
don't
definitely say.
remember.
I don't remember. I was asleep the entire time. I
Parasomnia, I'm not responsible.
I remember reading about that case.
didn't steal that dolphin.
The mother-in-law case, fascinating.
Yeah. It was only half their brain asleep?
No, unfortunately. And there are lots of cases actually of it. It's really interesting. It's just a fascinating thing, and it is scary as hell.
Weird brain states are fascinating. So
they are.
Yes.
They really are. Okay, so number 6, 12% of people dream only in black and white. This number used to be higher, but since the advent of color television, more people dream in color than before. This is another thing I've never really heard. I don't have any source for it.
I'd heard that too, but I assumed that it was crap.
It's probably crap. I wouldn't be surprised. But, who cares? Do you guys all dream in color? I dream in color.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't I've thought about this, and I don't remember whether it's in color or not.
Yeah, you really have to think about it.
I have vague memories that stuff happened, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you asked me whether it was in color, it's like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't remember whether it was color or not. Yeah.
Why
I do
wouldn't
want
it
to
be?
point out one little thing
Why
because
wouldn't it be in color?
because he hasn't watched the show in a while, as far
Because
as
you're
I
not
know.
thinking about the color. That's all. And
Yeah.
you somehow noted that you didn't think about the color. What were you going to say, Brian?
What's really important right now is
Hmm.
that Dr. Atlantis is watching the show and he's
Oh.
on Twitter and he made a
Like-
comment that made an 80s reference. And
You
I
made
have
an
to,
80s,
I have
80s
to.
reference?
I mean, it's actually not a bad pun, but it's not
Share it.
parasomnia.
You share it,
It's
please.
paranomia.
Paranomia.
Accident.
Uh-huh.
Boom, boom.
Yes. Yeah, so there you go.
Okay.
I
Ha.
beg.
Ha.
Right.
Ha.
Continue.
Okay. Number 7 probably bothers me the most, and you'll
Go work on
know
your
why as soon as I get it out of my mouth. Dreaming is normal. People who do not dream generally have personality disorders. Utter
What?
bullshit.
I remember
Complete-
hearing.
Total bullshit.
Yeah, I go long periods without, well, at least
Yeah.
without remembering any dreams.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean-
First of all, dreaming isn't just normal. It's something everyone does.
Hold on. I seem to remember that there is somebody who was verified not to have dreams. That there's one person.
It's possible.
But
But
how would
it's-
you distinguish he has never dreamed from he simply doesn't remember?
Like he
anything?
doesn't go into the
He
dream
doesn't
state.
go
He's
into
going to
the-
REM.
that level of sleep, probably.
Yeah, you have to define it based on
but
like.
then
brain
you get
state.
into never.
Yeah.
Okay, we put him in the lab. He never goes into the REM state. Does that mean he's never been?
I'm going to the Guinness Book.
Well, it's not REM. It's not
Well, Guinness
just REM
is a
state.
scientific source, so
You
It
can
is.
you can be in REM state and not be dreaming. It's not limited to REM state, but there are certain brain activity that we can measure. And but it's something. Okay, virtually everybody dreams, and there's a shitload of people with personality disorders. So do the math. People who say that they don't dream, they simply don't remember their dreams. That's really what it is. And no, failing to remember your dreams absolutely does not mean that you have a personality disorder. No way, no how. That's bullshit. Okay, so you people that don't remember your dreams like ever, don't worry about it. It doesn't mean you're a freak.
Oh
Okay?
my God.
Oh
She's
my
like-
god,
she's
it
like,
just
"Do
made
you
me
know who
so
who was
freaking
the
mad.
source of this listicle?
I don't know. The
It
source,
doesn't matter.
the original source was like visually or whatever it was. I have links in the blog post.
Okay.
It's really bad. Okay, so
The longest
number
anybody
8.
ever went without sleep was 264 hours.
Okay, we're gonna get to sleep deprivation in a minute.
This is going to be that long?
Nice one, Bob.
Yes.
Shut up, Bob.
Number 8. Sleep positions may determine your personality. Guess what I think about that one?
Bullshit?
Bullshit.
Bullshit. Yeah, and there's no may about it. This is about as true as saying your favorite color determines your personality.
It does.
Yeah. Okay.
My favorite color is Panavision, according to Mark Price.
That's cool. I like that. So 1 in 4 married couples sleep in separate beds. I've never heard that. I've never read a statistic on it. One of my Facebook friends, Leo, said there was a study in 2004
Yeah.
that came out like 23%. So, it's close. I wouldn't be terribly surprised. I'm a little skeptical. I mean, it just seems a little high, but whatever. My point is, it's it may be true.
Well, I mean, sleep disorders are pretty common, so is it
True.
linked to that?
And snoring, and it's probably linked to snoring and back problems and other types of things. It's not. There's lots of reasons to sleep in separate beds.
Yeah.
Okay, number 10. British soldiers were the first to develop a method in staying up, and the wording too. A method in staying up 36 hours without sleep. When fatigued, they put on special visors that emulated the brightness of a sunrise, and it woke them up. This is totally plausible. Can't confirm it. Not that interested, but it's plausible that you would train yourself to do that by fooling your circadian, your internal clock.
That sounds like a military study to me because they've
Yeah.
done tons of stuff about that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Number 11, longest sleeping mammals are koalas, 22 hours, and shortest sleeping are giraffes, 1.9 hours, taken in 5 to 10 minute sessions. Okay, that's a little interesting, but, really seriously, who cares? I don't know if it's true or not. Didn't look it up. Number 12, you need different amounts of sleep depending on your age. Babies need the most 16 hours, and people over 65 need at least 6 hours. I don't know about those hours, but it is true that different ages have different sleep requirements, and that in general, the older you get, the less sleep you probably need. But there's a lot of individual variability within that. So any hours you read about, you're talking averages anyway. Number 13, you'll die of sleep deprivation before food deprivation. It takes 2 weeks to starve, but 10 days without sleep can kill you. I have no idea where this came from. I can't imagine that somebody, first of all, the term sleep deprivation includes having too little sleep, too, not just no sleep. But
who could do that?
Exactly. There aren't a whole lot of documented cases of total deprivation, so I can't even guess where this number came from. But dying of sleep deprivation saying that is a little like dying of holding your breath. Eventually your body's going to force you to stop holding. You're going to faint, and then your body's going to breathe without your will to do so. And eventually that's true for sleep too.
Right.
But sleep deprivation, I just want to say that sleep deprivation can have some very serious health effects, and you can die of those health effects. But in 10 days, are you going to die from diabetes in 10 days? I don't think so. That just doesn't seem very likely to me.
Like
well, it depends. If you're Michael Jackson and you have an idiot doctor.
Well, that's a good way to do it, I suppose.
Clinical insomnia or cases where insomnia is caused by some kind of medical problem, they don't not sleep at all. They just don't sleep very well. And they sleep in very, very short periods of time and a lot. But it's not.
And what are you really dying
healthy.
of?
Yeah.
Dying of the sleep deprivation? I don't know. It is just a weird one that I can't imagine that it just seems made up to me. Number 14, blind people can see images in dreams. Those born blind experience dreams involving emotion, sound, smell, and touch instead of sight. Of course, because your brain activity when you're dreaming is very similar to the brain activity of waking states. So basically, you're using the same things that in your sleep that you are when you're awake to visualize things. You're using the same. We use almost the same mix of brain activity to visualize something that we do to see something. So it makes sense that our dreams use some of the same brain areas, and so if those brain areas are developed, they're going to get used. So if you lost your sight, at the age of 10, you may very well dream with pictures, at least for a while. But if you were born blind, then you're going to experience the world. You're going to experience your dream world in a very similar way that you experience your real world. So that's kind of a duh.
I was just curious. Usually when they study brain activity, like during sleep or during other things, it's a functional MRI. It's one of blood flow in the brain kind of thing. That would be enough to tell if it's like their sensory area.
No, it wouldn't, because there's a lot of individual variation, and if you have lost a scent, then your other brain areas encroach on that, and they steal that. They steal those neurons to use for other things. No, a lot of this is experiential. So they actually wake people up when they're in a dream state and ask them what they're dreaming.
Subjective.
You get it. Yeah, there's a lot of sleep research happens a number of different ways. It's not just functional MRI and so forth and ECT.
I seem to remember a documentary where people were not allowed to go to sleep, and then there was a monster because they didn't sleep.
That was Star Trek Next Generation.
Are you sure it wasn't Kolchak? I think it was Kolchak.
I think it might have been Dreamscape.
No, I think it was based on The Tempest.
That's right. Yep.
There you go. I guess in Dreamscape there wasn't any sleep deprivation. Okay, so number 15. Within 5 minutes of waking up, 50% of your dream is forgotten. Within 10 minutes, 90% is gone. This is just totally made up.
Hmm.
Number 16. 1 out of 50 teenagers still
How
wet
many are
their
these?
beds. This is the last one.
Oh,
1 out of
yay.
50
Oh.
teenagers still wet their beds. Well, I looked at about a dozen different sources, and I put the number, all of them put the number between 1 and 2 and 100. So 1 in 50 is probably the highest range of the estimates. But the statement, I think, is really misleading because it says still wet their beds, which makes it sound like a chronic problem, when in that number are counted probably single incidents, which probably make up the majority of cases, is it happened once to a teenager, and and that's what most of these things said. It was at some point we'll experience that. So that's a little far-fetched too. So basically, I think the bottom line, or the moral of the story is, when you regurgitate the vomit that you found on your neighbor's lawn that came from them eating something they pulled out of somebody's garbage can, this is what you get, okay? When you just copy shit.
Wait.
I'm not
Was that
sure
a-
about this metaphor.
Was it? Yeah.
It's regurgitated vomit is what
So
it
it's
is.
not even your own.
Is there any
regurgitated
other
vomit.
type of vomit,
It's-
Right.
though?
No, re-regurgitated.
Re-regurgitated. When you re-regurgitate the vomit that you found in your neighbor's lawn, that came from them eating the shit out of the trash and gulping air, because that's what they did, is just made it up. This
So,
is what you get.
Okay, so what exactly do you have against infographics?
Yeah, because this is what's
Everything.
They tend to be like this. This is a typical infographic
That's a
in my
listicle.
world.
That's a
It was a
listicle.
listicle. They came from an infographic,
Okay.
Which came from another infographic.
which came
apparently.
from
Yeah.
it was created,
In part.
So
but it was reposted. It was just reposted.
just to try to get a little bit of positiveness in this, have you ever
Parasomnia
seen,
is cool.
yes, Parasomnia is cool. Have you seen the site Information is Beautiful?
Yes, I have. Somebody actually posted that link as soon as I posted that blog post.
Yeah. So,
Onto my
there
Facebook.
there is some good. There are some people who are using the power of infographic for good.
Yeah, well, that's always been true. People have always created nice graphics to display data. The problem isn't that. The problem is the internet's bastardization of it that we call infographics.
Yes. So we all agree the internet sucks. Except for this, what we're doing right here. This is kind of the
This
cool
is the
part.
one good
It's
part.
a double-edged
The rest
sword.
of it, the rest of the internet.
It's not the internet. It's
All
what
that
people
stuff
do with
out
the
there.
internet.
I know.
The internet doesn't
it's all
hurt
about the
data. People do.
people. Nicely said. Nicely said. Thank you, Barbara. That was fun and entertaining and interesting. Up next, Eve is going to tell me why I am not allergic to the 20-some computers that are sending Wi-Fi signals in my basement right now.
Well, it could be the reason you got bronchitis. I don't know.
It
Over
could be.
Thanksgiving.
Could be. Yes. Wi-Fi
Yeah.
bronchitis.
Yes. Well, this is yeah. Sorry, the cat is helping.
Don't apologize for the cats.
This is a sad but stupid story. In June of this year, 15-year-old Jenny Fry hanged herself in a wooded area near her home in Chadlington,
Oh, yeah.
Oxfordshire,
I did see this one.
and that is sad. Her mother blames her death on her school, which didn't do enough to protect the girl from
Yeah, I saw
Wi-Fi
this.
signals, which were making her sick. And that is stupid.
Yes.
Deborah Fry told the Oxfordshire Coroner's Court that her daughter had begun showing symptoms of electrohypersensitivity or electromagnetic hypersensitivity in November 2012. And the disorder is perhaps more accurately known as idiopathic environmental intolerance attributed to electromagnetic fields. Jenny suffered tiredness, headaches, and bladder problems. And the closer she was to a router, the worse her symptoms got, according to her mother. Mrs. Fry says. Mhm.
I don't want to derail you, but I just had a thought. There's like chronic fatigue syndrome. You ever heard of that?
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things that's it's not very well diagnosed, and a lot of people who have symptoms that usually get told it's idiosyncratic. It's in their head.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But
Psychosomatic.
Is this similar, or is this something that doesn't even have that much scientific?
Could be, or it could just be depression.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll sort of get to that a little bit later.
I didn't, yeah.
No, that's okay. Mrs. Fry says, quote, Jenny was getting ill, and so was I. I did some research and found how dangerous Wi-Fi could be, so I had it taken out of the house.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Both Jenny and I were fine at home, but Jenny continued to be ill at school in certain areas.
In certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Jenny seems to have been diagnosed by her mother,
Yeah.
who also diagnosed herself. Or to put it another way, the mother convinced her daughter and herself that they both suffer from a non-existent.
Well, we don't know that the daughter was convinced of this.
Yeah, we got.
Yeah, we don't.
We do. She wrote notes, apparently.
Okay.
So non-existent illness. It's sort of not exactly non-existent. The World Health Organization says the symptoms of EHS are real, but that there's no evidence that they're actually caused by evil Wi-Fi death rays.
Okay.
And
so
various.
It could be, so it could be like allergies, or it could be depression, like you were saying, or it could be caused by something else. We don't really know the correlation of an actual cause.
Right.
So,
and
okay.
I get it's sort of like Morgellons, perhaps, that people are sick, but the cause isn't what they're attributing it to. And various experiments have shown that people who are supposed to be sensitive to Wi-Fi or other electromagnetic fields can't sense it under controlled conditions, or at least with no more accuracy than people who aren't sensitive to it. According to her mother, Jenny had been getting detentions at school because she kept walking out of class to escape the Wi-Fi when she wasn't feeling well. She would try to find rooms that weren't covered by Wi-Fi, according to the mother, but then she would have to serve her detentions in rooms with Wi-Fi, which the mother complained about. Now, of course, unless the school has like an abandoned wing, I doubt that there's really any place that was truly free of...
Or possibly an abandoned campus in a valley somewhere.
Yeah, that was truly free of Wi-Fi signals. And
were they near Greenmount?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Is
that the place? There is someone who.
See, that's actually
has EHS. Who
that would be a
moved
good
to that.
way of testing this. They could go to the what do they call the zone that's around Greenmount?
It's the dipshit zone, isn't it?
Well,
in
someone-
West Virginia, right?
There's a whole area where they're
Because of
not
military
allowed to
stuff.
have- Well, no, it's
Yeah.
because and the radio telescope is there as well.
There's a radio telescope there, and they want to.
There is someone who
There's nothing. So
who suffers from EHS symptoms who moved
there
there.
might be local Wi-Fi though.
But anyway, presumably Jenny also couldn't go to stores or her friends' houses or restaurants or anywhere because Wi-Fi signals are everywhere.
Aren't they just radio signals? Isn't that?
Basically.
Yeah, well, that's my understanding.
Yeah, I mean.
Pretty much every electronic device gives off something.
Yeah.
I wonder if she can use a laptop without destroying it.
Yeah. But as soon as she walked away from her...
Okay.
Yeah, she doesn't
Give
destroy
off
it.
interference. I was thinking, because I've been reading these... Okay, go ahead. I don't want to sidetrack.
It's okay. Is someone barking?
Yeah, what's with the
Someone's
dogs?
barking
It
somewhere.
sounds like Sharon's dog.
It's mine.
Oh, okay.
Ah,
As
make
soon
sure they
as
don't hurt each other.
as soon as she walks away from a router, she began to feel better, according to her mother. Although presumably she had to know the router was there.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
So-
always the key.
Yeah, as I said, the World Health Organization recognizes the symptoms of EHS. Though these vary from person to person. Sometimes there are skin symptoms, as with Morgellons, but the World Health Organization does not recognize it as a diagnosis. Earlier this year, a French court awarded disability payments to a woman who claimed to suffer from EHS. She lives in a barn with no electricity to escape electromagnetic signals.
She is allergic to electric eels.
Yes,
Mhm.
the court
Electric
didn't
eel
recognize. The court didn't recognize EHS as an illness, but did recognize that the woman has incapacitating symptoms, which apparently she does. And an American couple has sued their son's boarding school. They say their son was diagnosed with EHS after the school installed new Wi-Fi in 2013. Notice I said new Wi-Fi.
Different for you.
I think there was already Wi-Fi, which was, it was fine. It was the old Wi-Fi. But then they got the high allergen Wi-Fi or something.
Yeah, I know.
You'll also notice that it's not just the symptoms of EHS that vary, but also the supposed causes. The French woman has to avoid electricity altogether and all gadgetry. Deborah Fry, on the other hand, is perfectly okay with some forms of technology, including cell phones. And indeed, Jenny Fry had texted a friend earlier in the day before she committed suicide, explaining what she intended to do. Unfortunately, the friend didn't have her phone with her.
Cell phone has a way more powerful radio in it than a Wi-Fi.
But it's convenient.
So
it's convenient to be okay with a cell phone.
Right.
Yeah, so Wi-Fi is bad, but electricity, cell phones, and cell phone towers are okay. The judge in the inquest issued a narrative verdict, which apparently records the circumstances of death without attributing the cause to a named individual. In this case, it seems that he ruled there was insufficient evidence that Jenny intended to take her life rather than making a cry for help. She'd actually had suicidal thoughts the previous year after a friend had died as well. He also did not include factors relating to EHS because there were no medical records that she suffered from it. The mother says her daughter refused to see a doctor, but was seeing a school counselor. So the moral of the story, as I see it, is A, don't convince your child she's suffering from an illusory illness. And if she is suffering from debilitating symptoms for whatever reason, make sure she sees the appropriate medical and mental health care providers, even if she doesn't want to.
Yeah, I think that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Sorry to bring things down.
Yeah, well, usually it's Bob. Well,
I know.
We're so cheery on this show all the time. It's,
Yeah.
Life is pain, people, and the sooner you accept that, the happier you'll be.
we hate you.
I know.
Yeah.
Wow. So, I had another comment and I forgot what it was. But in that place, I want to mention Blake on Twitter had a wonderful, wonderful idea for a business, which we should all go in on because this is gold. It should be called the Faraday Spa.
Oh shit! Yeah,
So,
totally, absolutely.
A spa with no EMF, so they ban cell phones. They don't have any kind of electronics. You can
Everything's gluten free.
Well, technically, if you
pretty
built
sure
the
that
building,
that already exists.
well, if you built the building out of concrete, I mean, it's got rebar in it, so essentially it's a Faraday cage. So We could do this.
Well, you'd want to play up the fact. You want people to be able to see the wire mesh. That's what
true.
they.
That's true.
To get the full placebo effect out of it.
So we could do copper. What do you call those things that grow vines on the outside? You could just do copper on the outside. All right.
What the hell
Anyway,
are you talking
I
about?
Then we're
told.
sure to get sued if anything breaches the hull of that.
Yeah, but how would you know unless you brought a device in there? Then you'd violate our terms of service.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Good point.
You put the spa in West Virginia in that town.
Yeah. So yeah, we could have it. We could have an EMF.
Oh, wait a minute, guys.
resort
We have
in West Virginia.
consciences. That's why we don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't.
Hold
Damn
it.
that
Wait.
conscience.
So Bob just said he has a conscience?
I
No,
have
he's
a
Well, he
lying.
claimed to. I'm a little skeptical.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You are bad people
Mm.
and are libeling a gentle soul. Prick.
Okay then. Up next. What you got, Tim? Tim's got some Deepak Chopra quotes. I
Ooh.
love Deepak Chopra quotes.
Yeah, I just had
I
to talk about the study that came out this week
Yeah.
because I've talked about Deepak's misbehavior
Deepak or
on
Deepak?
Wikipedia before, and I've talked about his misbehavior on Twitter before.
Oh, sorry.
And so I have some slides. Here's a picture
Yay.
of Deepak just to get you all riled up.
There you go. There he is in his.
It turns out someone,
That's him not aging.
everybody
Yeah.
makes jokes about how he tweets these pseudo-profound things, right?
Right, 'cause
And
he's
there's
an
even
idiot.
some random generators. One of them was built by
Yeah.
a skeptic.
Yep. It's awesome.
That is Tom Williamson, who's known as the Skeptic Canary, built a website called wisdomofchopra.com, right? Well, lo and behold, someone actually took the output of wisdomofchopra.com as well as some of Deepak Chopra's actual tweets and the output of a similar tool called New Age Bullshit Generator. And these are
What
just,
does that do?
it's similar to Wisdom of Chopra. It just takes a whole bunch of random terms, ionize, chakra, da-da-da, and uses algorithms to put them into seemingly plausible sentences so that you end up with text that means nothing but sounds cool. So someone decided to do a study, and I think the next slide I have is the title page of the study. And it's on
Penny
the
Cook. Sorry.
reception and
Penny Cook.
detection of pseudo-profound bullshit. And in fact, I saw one of the articles about this was talking about how the author was kind of bragging that they got this study published, and the paper in it has the word bullshit over 200 times.
They're bragging on Twitter about it. That's why I first saw it.
But
I
basically,
want to read this one little thing right here. The Oxford English Dictionary defines bullshit as simply rubbish and nonsense, which
Yeah.
unfortunately does not get to the core of bullshit. Now, there's a
Yeah.
whole book on bullshit.
well, they reference that book and they go into all of that stuff. But basically,
Very
and I
interesting
won't
book.
go into, we don't need to go into the whole study. The paper is out there. It's freely available. I'll link to the Emily Willingham wrote a nice summary over on Forbes.com, and she links to the actual PDF so you can read the whole study. But basically, they showed people a bunch of these fake things from wisdomofchopra.com and had them rate them on how profound they thought they were. And then they also gave people cognitive tests to see how those cognitive tests would relate to how profound they found these bullshit things to be. And they found some very interesting things that basically if you are more willing to believe in faith sort of things, take things on faith, you're more willing to find these things profound. And people who basically had kind of, they didn't put it this way, but sort of lower IQs, lower cognitive abilities, tended to rate this stuff higher. And the Deepak Chopra quotes scored almost identically to the randomly created ones.
Yes.
Actual Deepak Chopra
That's
tweets.
awesome.
Wait a minute. Wholeness quiets infinite phenomena. What's wrong with that? That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So,
Wholeness.
so yeah, if you go on to the next slide, I have a screenshot of the wisdomofchopra.com, and you can see right there it says by Tom Williamson of skepticcanary.com. So, good job, Tom, the Skeptic Canary, getting your site to be the subject of a study, and of course, people were tweeting about this, and a few people tweeted at Deepak Chopra because, of course, he's always, as I explained in a previous episode, he's always tweeting at other people to annoy them and get their attention. So today, earlier today, Deepak replied to a few of these tweets, and that's my next slide. And you can see he says, I thank the authors for the study. Their bullshit is getting me more speaking engagements and new book offers. And then, of course, he poo-pooed the study and said that bullshit is the response of an intellectually challenged, self-appointed vigilantes for the suppression of curiosity. So, yeah.
Right,
Okay,
scientists
fine.
suppress curiosity.
He made a coherent
Wow.
sentence.
Those
Oh,
damn
yeah,
scientists and their
Coherent.
anti-curiosity.
When we set up our Faraday cage spa, can the group be called intellectually challenged, self-appointed vigilantes for the suppression of curiosity and EMF?
Yes.
I agree. So anyway, check that study out. I'll have the link will be out there, or you just Google Deepak Chopra bullshit study, and a bunch of folks have blogged about it. And congratulations to Tom Williamson for getting his little goofy Deepak annoyance website made
And
into a
having it
scientific
rate
study.
so well against the real thing.
Yeah, it is
Yeah,
kind of
I know.
amazing. I think
Yeah.
the randomly selected ones scored an average of 0.93, and the on their little scale that they made, and the actual Deepak tweets scored 0.89. So they were like dead
Probably
next to each
statistically identical, yeah.
other. Right.
That's so funny.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hurrah.
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 Deepak
No,
is full of-
it's a fun paper too. It's kind of tongue in cheek and
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because they use the word bullshit instead of nonsense, so
it was great. It was great.
they still managed
Yeah,
to.
they were
Any-
really having a little fun with it.
Yeah.
Anyone who can get a paper published that has bullshit in it
Well,
is just on my list.
In a what
Up
journal
there
was
for
it
me.
too? That's got to be a psych journal, not a philosophy journal, which
it was a
would.
Journal of Communication and Reception or something like that.
Yes, the journal, I have the paper here, Judgment and Decision Making.
Or
Yeah,
something
that's a
else
psych
entirely.
journal. That's a really prestigious psych journal.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
So-
It ain't no bullshit.
nice.
No, that's a good one.
Wow. Nice. Cool, Tim. Thanks. Thanks for bringing that one
pick it
to
up.
the table. Let's see. Before I get to talk about my stuff, apparently Bob has to do some other bullshit.
Yeah, some other bullshit.
Yes.
This is a bullshit cancer treatment. I was not
Oh yeah.
here 2 weeks ago.
This is important bullshit.
This is some hardcore bullshit. We're talking about a vertically integrated bullshit factory.
With synergy.
Yeah. So on the 19th, we're supposed to have a show on the 18th. I was not around, and we scrubbed anyway.
Yeah.
But
My fault.
I was on the way to Austin, Texas, when the show was scheduled to start. To the Texas Medical Board hearing on Stanislaw Brzezinski, who's a cancer quack, who looks a little like Mike Ditka.
He does. I never
He's-
thought about that.
It does kind of look like, yeah,
Yeah. So
not in a good way.
yeah. So I went. I was in the same room as Stan Brzezinski.
Did he glare at you?
He gave me
Did you
the
get autism?
he gave me the nastiest look.
I
He
bet.
does not have a poker face. And so, but it was funny because I showed up. I have my hat that I usually wear when I'm out and about, and I have my sunglasses, and I left my glasses in my car. so I had to wear my prescription sunglasses. So I looked like I don't know, like I was trying to go incognito, which I wasn't. I'm a moron. And so I went and I stayed for the first half for the opening statements and for some of the testimony of the first witness. It seems to me that what we were seeing was cross-examination of depositions that had been taken earlier. And the judge was very strict about what you could say, what you could address. It had to be, a cross-examination based on the earlier testimony. And then in the redirect, you had to stick to only what was addressed in the cross-examination. It was very narrow and very controlled. It turns out that the medical ethicist had problems with Stan Brzezinski's setup.
Really?
Oh my God!
Wow.
Yeah, it was interesting. So I transcribed the medical board's opening statement. So I can start. Well, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he started with this. He talked about Dr. Sidney Farber, who you've heard of the Farber Institute, right? The Boston Children's Hospital is named after him.
Yeah.
And so he was one of the first people. He invented a chemotherapy for leukemia, and then
like one of the first for kids, right?
Yeah, and it had some success. It was tough for kids. It hurt them because chemo sucks. And he told the story about that. I think I read in The Emperor of All Maladies. That there were two other doctors, Dr. Freireich and Dr. Fry. Dr. Fry actually knew about because he was related with another project I did in grad school. But he was a mosaic company, stained glass company, I don't know, Air or something. But he went into medicine, and they decided, if Fry and Freireich had this idea that they wanted to try a combination of chemotherapies to really give it a wallop. Pardon me. And they were shown the door by Sidney Farber initially because they weren't able to guarantee that it would be done in a safe way. The compromise that they came to was to hammer out a series of phases. When you phase in a new treatment, to make sure that you're not going to just give this treatment to a bunch of kids, to hundreds of kids, and just do the test like that. So you test it for toxicity, then you start to test it for efficacy, and then you go to a full-blown trial. And so and I'll quote the opening statement, the only thing that made this choice acceptable to Dr. Farber, Fry, and Freireich and the medical professional community was the discipline of science, the promise that doctors involved in research would honestly follow the guidelines involved. And this is where Dr. Brzezinski departed from the promise of the medical professional community a long time ago. Consistently, as will be shown through testimony and documents in this case, Dr. Brzezinski has supervised, directed, and controlled activities that are clinical research, human experimentation, clinical investigation in such a way as to masquerade as the discipline of science. And then he went on to Dr. Brzezinski, the frontier of science. Hold on. Blah, 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 blah. I lost my place. The care of the patients, in this case, the conduct of Dr. Brzezinski in his clinical studies as both doctor and investigator, the manipulation and influence on the institutional review board that's supposed to be policing him, the publications and reports on his treatment of patients and his misleading promotional marketing statements about his treatment of patients with cancer all represents a breaking of the promise made between Dr. Farber, Dr. Fry, and Dr. Freireich. I've lost count of the times that Dr. Brzezinski has insisted he should be awarded the Nobel Prize for his treatment of cancer patients. Scientists do not win the Nobel Prize by cheating their way into it, and it is cheating. The frontier of science is where the medical professional community insists that the real discipline of science be applied at patients. Dr. Brzezinski and his witnesses will describe the frontier of science as the gold rush, where anything goes, especially unloading entire arsenals of medications on naive and desperate cancer patients. Yeah. So, I mean, like, really...
I mean, this is, yeah.
It was a good opener. It was, you know, and so the closing line, I want to read that one, too. They went through the 9 things that 9 principal charges that they mean to demonstrate. Failure to get informed consent, failure to document who was really making the evaluation and treatment decisions, failure to document a medical rationale, lots of billing problems, go figure. Misleading promotional statements to the public, all sorts of things. So the guy, what's his name? Buckstein? Yeah. The lawyer for the medical board, who seems to be taking the lead, he signs most of the documents on the SOA website. He said, Dr. Farber, in his office, high above the Boston Children's Hospital parking lot, Dr. Farber showed Dr. Fry and Dr. Freerick the door when they first faced his skepticism about protecting patients adequately in the rush to advance cancer treatment. If Dr. Farber had reviewed this contested case, I am confident that he would show Dr. Brzezinski's cheating the window. Motherfucker! It was really good. Yeah. So that was the first, the opener, and then like the Brzezinski's lawyer, who kind of came in somewhat at the last minute, last 2 months. He hasn't been on the case all that long. Was kind of resorting to like the same bullshit that you hear in Eric Merola's hagiography. You remember Eric? He's the one who made the fan movie of this show. Hi, Eric.
Voices change, protect the innocent.
Yeah, that's right. No one's innocent. So, then there was the board got off to a stumble. I have to say, there something like 10,000 pages of testimony. That you need to have copies of that for all the people in the courtroom. So for the judges, for the court reporter, for the witness, for the defense, and for the prosecution, they all have to have the same thing. And somewhere in there, 4 pages went missing.
Yeah.
And it totally, and so they spent about a half an hour, 45 minutes even, sorting that out. And then they had to resubmit all the new stuff into evidence. And that took a while. So that was a big stagger step.
Okay.
But the medical ethicist was bulletproof. The billing person they had the next day, as far as I could tell, she was bulletproof. It seemed like what the defense was doing was raising all these issues that the judges have already ruled on, like this person isn't an oncologist. How could he be a medical ethicist? Whatever. The judges had already ruled on that, and they couldn't exclude him because of that. So they were just going over things that had already been rejected by the judges, which is not how I would proceed. So keep it up, guys. There was it was interesting to see how they asked a lot of yes/no questions, and every time they got remote. So you're not an oncologist? No. You've never been a principal investigator? No. Have you ever given anti-neoplastins to someone? No. So they were really good at finding out what he's not doing. They didn't ask him anything about medical ethics, and tried to avoid that. So they're trying to make him look bad without actually diving into his area of expertise. Every time they ventured near it, it was like they stepped on a landmine. So, and it was the same thing with the billing expert. If they get him on nothing else, I think they'll get him on billing. And so, yeah, that was. I was there for the first half of the day. I met Barbara Brzezinski. She is so sweet. Oh, and she's such a lovely person. Not at all.
Did she not know who you were?
She knew exactly who I was. And she made a comment about my appearance. And, okay, with her bit of girl jerky she is, I should care. So yeah, it was a moment where.
But at least you proved you're better than she is.
That was, yeah.
At least you proved you're better than she is.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's true. I didn't say a damn thing to her. I have nothing to say to her.
But with her bit of girl jerky.
Just said it in public.
Bacon?
Oh my god, that was bad.
So.
Creative.
Yeah, she grabbed my jacket and looked at my name tag to see who I was.
Of course.
Just she wanted to make sure, and then she made a comment about my appearance. That's okay. When you don't have anything else, go for appearance. That means I win. So, and let's face it, in 6 months from now, you can still call me Dr. Blaskowitz, right? Go for it, Barbie. But yeah, it was I had to go. I had to see it. I wanted them to know that we're watching, we're paying attention, and we're gonna see this through one way or the other. And I didn't feel the need to stay there much longer. I saw Eric Marola. He is a dingus, but we knew.
Tell us how you really feel.
Well, I mean, no, I just dingus is polite.
Bullshit is fair game. So you can say he's full of bullshit.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Sure. I mean, well, the thing is, when he released the opening statements, he cut out that entire prologue where they're talking about Sidney Farber and just went like straight to the charges, right? Totally dishonest. He's not a journalist. He thinks he is. He's something much less. So yeah, I thought it was really interesting.
So what's left in this? I mean, what?
Yeah,
how long
as
is
far
this
as I can tell, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but my sense is that they're going to go through this process, which is a required step, to bring it eventually to the board to make a vote. So it's not these judges who are going to make a decision about whether. I think they're just going to make sure that the charges are sound enough to bring in front of the board for discipline.
Okay, but this is related to his clinical trials.
Tangentially, that's in another entire area. The judge had ruled a long time ago that this was not about federal law or federally approved trials or federal regulations. It's about the practice of medicine in Texas.
Oh, okay.
And
so this is the license.
He sucks at that too. So there's always going to be something to prosecute him for.
Okay, so this is specifically to decide his license.
They haven't said that out loud, but that's certainly how it's being cast.
Why are they being? Okay, so why are they being such pussies? I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm. They're doing this by the
I think
book.
it's just procedure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going through the procedure. You want them, and you want a robust trial. You want it to be fair and heard, and he, schmuck that he is, deserves a good hearing. Yeah. Absolutely, he deserves a good lawyer too. I mean, there's no way around it.
Yeah.
And once you shake things out, we'll see where things lay.
It's just frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks for the status on that, Bob.
No problem.
And thanks for being the brave one to go out there and lock eyes with Brzezinski. Man.
I couldn't. You know what? I couldn't have done it without Mike Jarsulik and Steve Brading from CFI in Austin. They both came along. We met down there, and we went up, and their support got me through the door, I think. Awesome. But yeah, we will definitely see this through.
Sweet.
Cool.
Let's hope it turns out in favor of science.
Well, let's hope justice is served.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Exactly. That's a better way of saying
it. And harm is prevented.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, so one minor thing, because let me do this. Thanks, Bob.
Mm-hmm.
I only have one thing to talk about this week, and that's this guy. This
Okay.
guy, yeah, this guy,
I
this
love the
is,
tie.
yeah, that's a nice tie, isn't it? This is Joseph Engelsberger. Engelberger. Did I say that right? He died yesterday at the age of 90. He and his partner George Duvall founded a company called crap, it's not in front of me.
Unimate.
Unimate, yes. Unimate was the first industrial robotics company. They installed their first robot in a New Jersey GM plant in 1961. This is a robot that they started working on in 1954.
Wow.
It was hydraulic, and it could repeat motions based on instructions stored on a magnetic drum, which is fascinating considering this is pre-computer. This is way pre-computer. The ideas and a lot of the technology was developed by George Duvall, and he helped get the patents done and start a company and knew a lot of the technology and has been an outspoken pro-robotics guy ever since then. He was really big in the 80s trying to push robotics technology and did some other work on some of the early robots that did career-type activities in hospitals for like drugs and various other things. And
like, talking about like dispensary type things.
This is pre-dispensary robots,
Okay.
but it would like courier type stuff. So it was before they had the dispensary. That was the Helpmate, I think was what it was called. And he's been outspoken about pushing robotic technology. He had there's a famous quote from him about just, can a robot do it? And he was all into whatever. Here it is. An automated machine that does just one thing. It's not a robot. It is simply automation. A robot should have the capability of handling a range of jobs in a factory. Now, this is early before any of the stuff that we talk about today. Really interesting guy. Didn't really like walking robots. He did a talk at a big conference back in 2000, and one of the things he was talking about is he didn't want robots to walk. He wanted them to be on wheels. He didn't think it was practical. But if you want to blame a lot of what robots are today, especially in terms of industrial robots that do manufacture, and I mean that's where a lot of the technology is today, these guys started it. So,
wow.
Unfortunately, he's passed. And I mean, George Duvall, his partner, died back in 2011. So the first guard of the robot development has passed, and now we're on the new age, I guess. Yes,
and soon the next group will die.
Yeah. So here's a picture. I think this was from his talk back in 2000-ish. This is a more recent picture, and I love it because he's like pimping the coat.
Yep.
And here we go. Here's a really old picture from sometime in the 60s. I don't have a date on this, but you can see him.
Are you suggesting he was killed by robots?
I am not.
Okay.
I am not at all. If he was killed by robots, he would have been killed a long time ago. This is actually a picture of him with the original Unimate hydraulic.
It's a bending unit.
Robot. Yes, it's a bending unit. Pretty simple compared to modern manufacturing robots, but yeah, this is pre-computers, which is pretty amazing to me. So there you go. That's the only thing I had to talk about this week.
How did they code instructions for it to follow?
I don't even know.
I mean, was it like a mechanical clock or something, or?
It was well. I mean, there were a lot of the precursors of computer technology around, but I mean, in simple forms, like it was a magnetic disk, so it probably had some kind of direct linkage between what was on the disk and actually moving. This was hydraulics, so it was some kind of pump that would control the joints through pressurized fluid as opposed to electronic. I mean, it wasn't until the late 60s that we started doing electronic servos. So, yeah. And in the early 70s. Still cool piece of history. There you go. That was it. I will link to all this stuff in the show notes, so if you really have an interest, go read this stuff. This guy was really pretty cool, and his partner was pretty cool too. So, there you go. There was not a tiny Turkish man in the robot lake. But, if you go back and look at that picture there, you could, yes.
Yeah, you could fit a Turk in there.
You could probably fit a Turk in there. And, I mean, if you look at I had a couple pictures of the early automobile assembly lines, because these machines were used to like, assemble hot metal pieces. So the stuff that humans couldn't do because the pieces were too hot from being heated up and pressed together. But yeah, you could easily. It's a very simple arm. You could have a Turk in there just driving the thing around. That was pretty cool. Who knows? So if you ever hear the word Turk used in reference to robots, you'll know where that came from. Mm-hmm. Although I didn't tell the story. Anyway, the show's going long. Let's finish up. Thank everyone for your various stories. I hope everyone who's watching enjoyed it. Let's do the wrap-up. We have a couple of things. Let's see. First up, trivia question. Tim, can you repeat the question and see if anybody got it?
Tomorrow is the 20th anniversary of a famous What's the Harm case. I'm kind of combining my skeptic history and What's the Harm here. And a couple people got involving Scientology, probably one of the most famous victims of Scientology. And two people got it within seconds of each other.
I know, that was pretty quick.
Mark Price was first, according to my feed, and it was Lisa McPherson, the famous case in Florida with Scientology, where they were giving her a so-called purification rundown, and she was found running through the streets and collapsed, and they refused to take her to the hospital, and she died.
Yep, very famous story. There is, if I'm sure anybody who's watching us has probably seen the HBO documentary on Scientology that was put out last year. Was it last year? Pretty recently.
Early this year.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of interviews, and if you're curious about Scientology. I think they talk about that incident as well.
It's a really good place to start.
Yeah.
Yep.
The other thing, these two things behind me, the video's playing constantly. Now, of course, Blake is watching the show tonight, and he's really good at this. Now, I didn't catch anyone else guessing, but he did get one of them, and of course he would know. The one on my right, the rightmost one. The one with the really bright screen. That is the trailer for the movie Pacific Rim, where construction workers apparently can drive giant robots and fight monsters.
Only if you're Charlie Hunnam.
Or Voltron, as we...
Yes. Which, giant robots versus monsters, so there you go. That's why I like the movie. It's a terrible movie.
It's a terrible movie.
It is a terrible movie.
Horrible
It is
movie.
a terrible movie.
We watch it every freaking time it comes on.
I've had more enjoyable eye surgery.
Frickin' robots versus monsters. I mean, come on, man.
That's exactly what my husband says.
Yeah. So the other one is the trailer for a movie. Actually, I've done this one on the show before. It's a little movie from the early 70s called Demon Seed. It's kind of a horror movie about a supercomputer / robotic thing experiment that ends up trying to impregnate a woman and make a demon seed computer baby.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, one of the Unimate robots was featured in that movie. One of the early ones that was used to make cars back then is actually in that movie, which is why I threw that in there. So there you go. Nobody got that one, but Blake got the other one, so good job, Blake. Thank you for playing. So what's left? Announcements? Do you have any announcements? I don't have anything in the notes. Anybody got announcements? Anything coming up? Anything interesting?
Not really.
Skepticality stuff?
That has been
Skepticality. I don't think any of us were on it.
Yeah, and I just saw a note from Susan asking, was I not on this one?
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah. It was sprung on us really rather late this time, so we didn't have anything to contribute.
Okay, but go listen to the podcast. Skeptic Alley is a good podcast anyway, and a lot of the guys are usually on it, and they'll be on it again probably. Other than that, we have book time. Got to do the book time really quick because we're like an hour and 20 minutes already, and I'm going to take another 5 minutes with this stupid accent.
What's with the accent?
I don't know.
Again, software editing.
Yes.
It's worth that, yeah.
Yes. So, who's going first?
I went first, so I guess I'll go first.
Okay, go, Barb.
Okay, our brains have evolved in such a way that they engage in a relentless search for patterns in the world. We seek relationships, explanations, and meaning in things that happen around us. This is obviously a very adaptive characteristic that allows us to predict what will happen in the world, and perhaps patterns exist. This search for patterns is, of course, what the scientist does. But the tendency to seek meaning and patterns in the world is certainly not limited to scientists. It is something that we do every day of our lives. The strong tendency to search for structure has been studied by psychologists. It is a characteristic of human intelligence, and it accounts for many of the most astounding feats of human information processing and knowledge acquisition. And then, of course, they tell you how it's also our downfall.
Oh, man. Who's next? Let's go in line. Eve, want to go?
This book takes as its starting point a dramatic event, the hanging and miraculous resurrection of a Welshman 700 years ago. Although the episode took place in such a distant period, we have unusually rich information about it, for no fewer than 9 eyewitness accounts survive, each of them long, detailed, and vivid. Although the issue of miracle and sanctity was the central concern of the inquiry, every part of the proceeding gave rise to new issues and new questions which sprout strands like tropical vine. We can try to delve deeper into what the witnesses said and what it meant. This can lead to very personal and individual questions, such as how the people in the Middle Ages conceived of space and time, and how their memories worked.
Interesting. Bob?
Interviews could last for hours, and the children being questioned were often 4, 5, or even 3 years old. When children failed to provide answers that corroborated allegations of abuse, interviewers repeated the questions. In Los Angeles, one 5-year-old boy who had attended the McMartin preschool became frustrated with his interviewer, a woman named Kee McFarland. Question: where did Beth get touched? Answer: she didn't get touched. Question: you can help tell her yucky secrets and she won't have to tell. Wouldn't that be nice? She didn't get touched. She never did? How about on the other side? Maybe she did. She never even got touched.
So 4, 5, and 3, which, by the way, it's just bothering me because they didn't do it in order. Did you catch that? Okay. Tim, go.
Some unusual health-related hypotheses have been spread on the internet. Antiperspirants cause breast cancer. Cooking in aluminum pans causes Alzheimer's disease. Costa Rican bananas carry flesh-eating bacteria. These and similar unusual scientific hypotheses can be checked at reliable public health sites such as the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, cdc.gov,
Natural News,
Quackwatch, quackwatch.com, or the sites listed at the end of this chapter.
Yeah, the only thing I heard about bananas is they have like those spiders in them.
Murder
right?
spiders.
Murder
Yeah.
spiders.
Murder spiders.
Okay, I got a quick quote. You're in America now, I said. Our idea of diplomacy is showing up with a gun in one hand and a sandwich in the other and asking which you'd prefer. That's the whole quote.
That's awesome.
So, Barbara,
a lot of people go for the gun, though. I tell you.
Mine was How to Think Straight About Psychology by Keith Stanovich, 6th edition. It's probably kind of old by now.
Eve.
Mine is The Hanged Man, The Story of Miracle, Memory, and Colonialism in the Middle Ages by Robert Bartlett. Answer, look, Hanged Man. Dead guy.
Man, poor man. Got a nice beard.
He might have gotten better, though.
No. Bob?
This is called, it's Richard Beck's We Believe the Children, a Moral Panic in the 80s. And it's really interesting.
What about the children?
Mm-hmm.
Which one was yours, Tim? What book?
Me, I was a very old book called Web of Deception. It actually dates from 2002.
Wow.
Subtitled Misinformation on the Internet.
Wow. That's like the perfect example of a published book that couldn't possibly be up to date because...
Right. Like, what is the point?
And yet, it's the same stuff.
And it exists.
That's true.
Quackwatch is still there.
Yeah.
And those stupid rumors are too.
Yeah.
They're just on different websites now.
Yep. Yeah. Everything but the exact, except for the URLs, is completely relevant.
Yeah, all the links are broken by now. Yeah, totally.
So, so I'm still working my way through the Harry Dresden series by Jim Busher, and this is it was a quote from the latest book I'm reading, which is actually book 11 in the series, which I'm through them, called Turncoat. But yeah, he has a couple of good quotes in there about the one about being American is perfect, it's absolutely perfect, and there were other ones that were very cool about diplomacy and things like that. So there you go. If you haven't read any Jim Butcher, they're fun and interesting and have some great quotes. Okay, so I guess that's the show. Is that everything? As I do another stupid accent?
Please don't.
No?
Stop with the accents.
Okay, fine. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm going to put the Lego. Yes, don't step on them. I'm going to put up the logo and play the music, and we're going to dance, and you won't know better anyway. So, thank you for watching.
I'm going to hypnotize you.
That is a little mesmerizing.
Virtual Skeptics is an independent production of What's
Gonna rock in the opposite
Skeptics
direction.
Humanities, myself, ICBS Everywhere, and Delta News. Our logo, not Lego, was designed by Sarah Mayhew at sarahmayhew.com, and our theme music is by Music Kent. Please with permission.
The logo could have been made by Lego. It's low res.
Sleepy.
True.
We should do that sometime.